So my daughter sends me this video. I don't have all the applications that other people have. I have like a couple things, and that's it. So, being overexposed to shit really, it's like the shock factor on any given day. People don't realize that stuff. The more that you come in contact with certain things, it's like you're overexposed. And that's where anxiety comes about. You're getting flushed with too much information. So I try to keep it to a minimum. So she has TikTok. I don't have TikTok. Um, like I said, I keep my communication devices to the minimum. So I can see the video, even though I don't have the application. I can play it. No different than playing it on, looking at a video on Facebook or YouTube. So the video is where this woman down in New York City, the big NYC, is upset. Rightfully so, she is upset because they just let the migrants take over her child's school. That's where they're going to house them. In exchange, her child's education gets placed remotely. Okay. So now they have to make changes to their personal schedules at home and to accommodate these people that have now taken over the schools. All right. And on top of that, we should all be a little aggravated and wonder what the fuck is going on, okay? Because it doesn't matter if you're paying rent, where you're staying in an apartment, you're living in an apartment, or you are carrying a mortgage. The cost is already embedded in the overall pricing that you pay to build in, if you will, the cost of taxes, property taxes and school taxes. Down in New York City, they pay privately funded subsidies for their children to go to certain schools. They get to pick from a wide array of schools down there. So if let's say they live in Manhattan, and they want to send their kid to some school in another area, they can do that, but they have to pay a subsidy for that, okay? Or that's how it used to be. Who knows what Hochul has changed her and Cuomo, because they're one and the same, okay? Like they're fucking blood brother and sister, operating under the same fucking umbrella of shit. So we're required, if we live someplace, to pay property taxes and school taxes that just keep increasing and increasing and increasing. There's no cap on property taxes. All they do is they go back and they do some type of assessment saying that now the property is valued at such and such a dollar. And where are they getting that valuation from? It's not the valuation associated with, in today's dollars, if they wanted to rebuild that same house in today's dollars versus when it was originally built, the difference. But then you have to also factor in the materials used when it was originally built that are no longer available in the same texture, let's just say, okay, as they once were. And so they can't come up with a strong valuation calculation for that stuff. So they use a demand demand for housing. And where do they get the demand from housing from? Oh, that's right. All these people floating over here needing a place to stay. Now it's under demand, this housing is. And that's where they come up with that evaluation. That's how they assess your property now, okay? So here's a big question, because we're all wondering, what are the priorities of the United States? Who's the priority here? And what are those priorities? And so I beg of all the nation's leaders out there to prompt the question, because leaders from other nations are so fucking sick and tired of the United States. They're fucking meddling into other people's affairs. Their inability to maintain strong boundaries and, cover those boundaries with firmly embedded laws, unbreakable laws. They're fucking tired of it. Rightfully so. So I beg of all those nations out there looking at the United States like, when is this fucking shit going to end with these fucking nimrods? I beg you to prompt the question of the United States. What are your priorities? And how do you align those priorities? What's your mission statement, anyways? Do you got one? You're all operating independently. The states all operate independently, and underneath all the bodies of state government, they have all these thousands of independently owned and operated multiple forms of government, all operating independently with their own fucking agendas. So how does it all line up? Because if you looked at corporate America, you have the corporate office, and they might have some subdivisions. Guess what? They all somehow align with one another. And you can visually see the direction of the company and what their primary focus is, their core focus. So what is it with the United States? What's your priorities? What's your mission? What is your intent, anyways? I beg the question. We're not going to get it from any of these so-called leaders here in the United States, but I'm quite sure leaders of other nations can prompt those questions and demand some answers.